Hello and welcome to another episode of SoFly. It is the end of June. It's like the 26th or something like that.
Yeah, it's the 26th.
26th of June.
Exactly the 26th.
There you go. And we're on location, actually, up in upstate New York at the Hungry Trout Resort here in just outside of Wilmington, in between Wilmington and Lake Placid, I guess.
Yeah.
And, we're recording another episode here. I've got myself, Mitch. We got Aldo.
Hey, everybody.
And Yilma's not here. And
That's too bad.
Idis isn't here. And no, Joel's not here. None of them's here except Andy Vanderkay, who's not in this room right now. He's dumping carts, but he's here on this trip with us. And we're super excited to be talking with a guide today here at the Hungry Trout Resort. We've got Brandon on the show. Brandon, how's it going?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Brandon, what's your last name?
Seifert or Seifert?
Okay, Brandon Seifert. Okay. How do you say it?
Seifert.
Seifert. Brandon Seifert. Okay.
I don't think it matters that much. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good, man. Welcome to the show. It's so nice to have you on here.
Yeah. Brandon, you're a guide and the manager of the Hungry Trout Fly Shop.
Yeah. So a little more out in the water this year compared to last.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I've been in that shop, I think, total of maybe 15, 20 times this season.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
We got a couple more people in there. So, but, certainly a rotation of people, but
mostly fishing, mostly guiding.
Vast majority of it this year has been that. So
well, it's a heck of a shop. I'll tell you that right now. It's a really cool little shop, and we'll get into the kind of like all the deets about the trip and what we're doing down here. But we're in room 8 at the Hungry Trout Resort.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 1 billion degrees outside, so we're taking a little break from the fishing and the heat to record the show. Why don't we just talk a little bit first, just quickly, about how we came down here and what we did.
Sure.
Well,
we've talked about it on the podcast before, but Mitch and I grew up in Ottawa, and in Ottawa you got a lot of really great access to water and fishing, but a lot of it is pike, muskie, bass, et cetera, et cetera. You can trout fish, but it's mainly in lakes.
Yeah.
I'm getting to a point here. So, so actually, Mitch and I used to, separately, we didn't know each other at the time, but we would come to upstate New York to trout fish in streams because we didn't have trout streams in Ottawa, right? So we'd go around Malone, and then, of course, if you had a little more time, it was only about a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive to get to Wilmington, Lake Placid, and, of course, the storied Osable River.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm looking at it right now from the window in this room.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, it was like, we got to go up there, but COVID hit, so we haven't been back.
Right.
So we're like, we got to come down, check it out. And so we came down to, we actually started in Malone, but the rivers up there were all blown out.
Yeah, we got there to Malone, easy drive, even from Toronto, and pretty nostalgic drive for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was for you, but
totally.
I was reminded of my youth.
Yeah, like seeing all the old spots and shops and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly, and even the border crossing.
Yeah, totally. I know.
But we got to Malone, and we had a nice little evening.
I love my border crossing. It was so good.
Yeah,
I was the only car there, and the guy was just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Fishing." He's like, "Fly fishing?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You vaccinated?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Get the heck out of here." I was like, "All right, sweet." It's like 2 seconds.
That's nice.
I was like, "Sweet." Want to see my passport? He's like, "Nah, fuck that." No, he checked my passport. But we went and stayed at a little hotel there in Malone and went down to the Rivers. What was it called? The Riverside Cafe or something?
Yeah, something like that. The river
had some steaks and Montreal style crab cakes. It was the funniest thing, Brandon. Like me and Andy were sitting looking at the menus, and there was crab cakes on the menus, Montreal style, and Aldo was like in the washroom was doing something, and we were like, he comes back to the table, had no idea we were talking about these crab cakes. Waiter comes over, she's like, takes our order. She's like, "Do you guys want like an appetizer?" We're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What's good?" And she's like, "The crab cakes are amazing." And he's like, "Are they Montreal style?" She's like, "Of course." And all those face was just like,
"What is it, a Montreal style?"
It's a Montreal style crab cake. They were good. Yeah.
But we had a great dinner. Got back to the hotel room, and the skies just opened up.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is good because Brandon and I had been texting back and forth because, it had been warm here and, cloud cover, a little bit of rain, dropping temps.
Yeah.
That's good for trout fishing, except for when it's like 12 millimeters in a couple hours.
And the river was like 12 feet higher than it should be probably. And it was like crazy, like licking the trees.
The first trout stream I ever fished in my entire life was the Shadowgate River.
Yeah.
In Shadowgate, New York, and the Salmon River in and around Malone. And and I didn't get to fish it this time, which is too bad because I really was like, hadn't
It's
been
nostalgia.
there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Takes you back to your youth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just takes you
exactly.
back.
So it's too bad. But so, we made the call to just be like, let's just get to Lake Placid in the Wilmington area a day early. And that's what we did. I mean, we called the Hungry Trout and we're like, what are the rivers looking like there? They're like, high but clear. And we're like, good, enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It swells a lot more than, you still get the runoff from the occasional pretty heavy thunderstorm where it's dry, pushes some mud in the water. There's a few creeks to do it too, but it swells quite a bit. That's one thing you'll find here. It's a little more of like a kind of a spring runoff, kind of pushes the mud down, I feel like, and for that reason, it swells a bit more and it gets muddy.
Yeah.
It still does, but not to the extent some rivers might.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we made that call to just like hit the road, and we came down here early.
Right.
And it was great that we did because we got to at least fish a little bit. And
I mean, it was a great drive. Like, drove through Saranac Lake.
Yep.
We stayed in Lake Placid at the Hampton Inn.
Yeah.
And like that was just fun. Like, it was just
good old Hampton Inn.
And we fished some of the sections closer to Lake Placid.
Yeah.
And caught some fish.
Yeah. It was fun. It was cool to get, into Lake Placid. Such a beautiful town.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So cool. 1980 and 1932 Olympics.
Yeah.
I love that you can fish under the shadow of the ski jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty sweet.
Not that we fished there, but you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of access. Most of it's Wilmington up. Pretty public.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of places. That's the key for the West.
Yeah.
It's a public water, really.
Yeah.
Versus anything else.
Super accessible, very well known.
Right. Yeah. It's historic.
Yeah.
Lots of flies created here.
Yeah.
The water is unique. The wading is also very unique.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes. The wading is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll definitely get into that.
Yeah.
But we came down here the next day, checking out Hungry Trout, and we stopped by. The first stop was the fly shop, and we met you.
Yeah.
Working behind the counter there. We're like, Brandon? He's like, yeah, what's going on? Hey, how's it going? And we got to chatting, and it's such a great shop.
Yeah, it really is. It's not as big as some other shops might be, but we have heart. And a lot of stuff packed into it. And every nook and cranny you could possibly find in there has got something in it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's so cool. Like, the Hungry Trout's a hotel, restaurant, and fly shop.
Right.
So it's like, that's already
two
cool.
restaurants.
Right. Two restaurants.
Yeah, two restaurants. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And, we're right on the banks of the river.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it's so cool. Like, it's always cool being in an area that's fly fishy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people who fly fish in Toronto, and you go up to the credit and you see people fly fishing.
Sure.
But there aren't
there's not like a
culture. we pulled in.
Yeah.
We
like
pulled,
this,
Yeah, you drive through Placid. There's drift boats parked, and even though I don't know if I'd ever take a raft down here.
No.
But they're parked there, and then we rolled into the Hungry Trout, and it's like, your car's there, and there's like 3-4 other cars, and they all have rod racks.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
It's called the Hungry Trout. It's a little roadside, motel thing. It's awesome.
Right. Sleep, eat, fish, all in the same location.
Yeah, it's
literally
awesome.
within 100 yards of each other. So
Yeah. So when did you? So let's get into a little bit. Like, you're from Buffalo.
Yeah, originally Western New York, Buffalo, Cheektowaga, originally born and raised.
Yep.
23 years of my life then technically, I guess. So, I mean, that's where I grew up, where I learned to fish. My father would take me out to a local creek and just, regular stuff, right?
Yeah.
This little worm with a sinker and little kitty rod and drop it over a bridge. Oh, look, a sunfish.
Yeah, sunfish. Yeah.
But like I have pictures of it. it's really cool to see like me and my dad fishing together.
So you got into fishing because your dad was into angling?
Yeah, kind of like, he would fish with me, and that's kind of what drew me into it. Kind of got out of it for a little bit, through middle school years,
Sure,
and kind of got back into it more like towards high school. Just had more time. That's really what it came down to.
When did the fly rod make its first appearance?
Probably when I was about 14. Now that I remember it. So,
okay.
Talking a little while ago.
Yeah.
Came out of necessity for me in a way. I'd always wanted to try to do it, but worked odd-end jobs to just get enough money together just to buy a fly rod and rod combo. And, there was a kit on sale or whatever, and I was like, yeah, why not? Let's go for it. So, Yeah, it was like some July or August day, and bought it. Was like, hey, I want to go out. My dad dropped me off at the creek, same creek that I learned to fish with him, which was really cool. And just went out there with some like dry fly ants or whatever that was in the box, and
nice.
Caught a couple bass, some perch, some panfish. 1 or 2 trout that probably were caught in way too much water.
First time going out fly fishing?
Yeah,
that's a good day.
Yeah,
caught like 5 species of fish.
I mean,
fish,
at that age
bass,
though, that's
trout.
the age to do. That you're learning.
Yeah.
Most of your stuff at that age, right? And it's easier to learn things when you're younger. They've said that, and I believe it. Yeah. A lot of people take out. Yeah, you're a sponge. You absorb things. And especially if you connect with it, you're going to put more effort into it, I find, for sure.
You said it came out of necessity. What do you mean by that?
So when I was younger, I would fish with a spinning rod.
We all did.
Vast majority of people do. Some people say, "Oh, I've always built a fly rod," and they're just a bunch of fucking liars. So
100%.
Let's be honest with you. Come on, man. There's no way you were 2 years old and only fishing with a fly rod. There's no possible way. No. So
who trying to impress?
Yeah. It's like, all right, just let's be real. Who cares? We all started fishing. Fishing's fun, no matter what avenue it is. It totally really is. But yeah, like I would ride my bike to the creek that I fished with my father, and it was a few mile drive at least, on a bike, and a little bit more main streets, so there's no bike lane.
Right.
It's on sidewalks, there's trees, all that kind of stuff, and either I put it in my backpack and basically almost close myself with a tree, and or put it on my handlebars, and that just it didn't work, right? So it came down to I want to get something packable, it's easier to transport, and it just made sense, And like I said, I always wanted to do it, fishing wise. You hear about it and see it here and there, right? So I was like, yeah, let's try it. And
so it's kind of like an easier way to go fish your local creek,
right? Yeah, it just made it easier on myself personally. Because most fly rods are 4 pieces or so, or even 3, even 2 sometimes, but the vast majority of them nowadays are 3 to 4 piece. And even have travel rods, which are pretty sweet. But it just made it easier on me.
Is your dad a fly angler?
He doesn't really fly fish too much. He's tried it.
Where'd you first hear about it? Just like, who knows?
Just online, like reading a book or something like that. I was
like, why? What was about it that was like, oh, I got to try that. I want to try that.
It just something different. Something new. Right? Like, I mean, I got a book series of different fishing books and lures and stuff from around the world. This is, mid 2000s or something like that. But I got that. So I mean, there wasn't like a huge online presence that there is now to kind of spread the word, if you will. So you're kind of reading through, and it's like, oh yeah, these are like different things you can use for bass, and then it like goes to like, oh, here's like bass flies, right? Like the rudimentary kind of earlier ones, like deer hair poppers, that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, it's cool. Like, you can throw like frog. Like look at that. That thing is like almost legitimately a frog. Like it has legs. They made of like leather or whatever, and deer hair. Yeah. Like I mean,
stripes and stuff.
Yeah, it looks so realistic, and it's like, holy crap, that's made of deer hair. Like, what? So that kind of piqued my interest in it. You know what I mean? Taking some kind of feather or whatever, right? Synthetic. Who cares? Excuse me. Yeah, and cool. Making it into something that looks like a bug or a fish or whatever, right? And using that to catch a fish is pretty sweet. River runs through it too, everybody
into
you can't be, you can't lie. Everyone wants to look like Brad and go out there and fish. So I mean that has a little bit to do with it. And of course now there's that new boom of the COVID stuff, which it's brought about a lot of anglers, and they've said more possibly than the river runs through it has.
Right. People just wanted to go try something new, get outside.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, right? I mean,
being outside was one of the only things you could do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're all confined to our house for a month or 2 or whatever. And, you got to get some kind of break. I mean, you can't be locked in a wall. It's brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much you can do, and only so many times you can clean your house before you start going insane.
Totally.
So I mean,
there's nothing left to clean.
Right? Yeah. Like, what do you know? Like, oh man, there's a spot there.
Fly fishing.
Right?
Totally.
Fly tying.
Yeah. True.
Right.
That's cool. Okay, so grew up fly fishing around the Buffalo area.
Yeah.
And then when did you make your way down here, and why?
So made my way down here. What was it, like May of last year then? Yeah. So. Going on 2 years up here now. previous to that, had met one of my best friends, Adam. He's up in Norway right now. Lucky son of a bitch.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fishing?
Yeah, he's fishing for
Nice.
Atlantic.
Oh, wow.
He's got a couple nice fish.
That's cool.
Yeah. He got a couple nice fish. He's looking for the big one, though. They do have some really giant fish going up those rivers. But we met in high school, I don't know, like sophomore year, I think it was, in homeroom. I was just like watching a video on tying a fly. And he was like, "What are you doing over there? Like, what's that?" Because he was sitting behind me. I would just chit-chat with him every once in a while. And he was like, "Oh, is that Kelly Gallup?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Wait, do you fly fish?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What?"
That's how you guys met. That's hilarious.
Like, and then it's just like instantaneous, like, like the Step Brothers movie. Like,
did
we just be going,
Yeah.
Like, what?
Favorite fly on the count of three.
Literally like a snap of the fingers.
Did we just become best friends?
Right.
Yep. Love it.
So yeah, like that, that spontaneously sparked like a friendship that's lasted years now. I mean, close to 10 years, if not more.
That's awesome.
And we played baseball together actually before that when we were like little kids, and we never realized it. Yeah, right. So it's like,
crazy.
Small town Buffalo is a city, but it's a small city. Like, you basically are kind of gonna know somebody through whoever, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But like just fished for years. And I think I was telling you a story a little bit before too, earlier this day. But met them down there for like a steelhead thing that we do every year if we can.
And you met that group through the fly shop and kind of just online, stuff like that?
Which group? I'm sorry.
The one that you went on that steelhead kind of like.
Oh, so they're friends with like Adam's dad, Adam's father, Brian. He's good friends with a bunch of different people from a bunch of different places.
Gotcha.
Just fishing for years and all over the place. He's kind of met people, right? That's how it goes with anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fishing is like a large community. Like I said, fishing is a great avenue, and a lot of people that fish are really great people. You don't really meet too many mean fishermen.
No.
Everybody's kind of happy, right?
There's a ton of nice anglers tend to be pretty nice people. Yeah.
Right. Like it's people that go in the fly shop, they're happy. You're not going in there to buy like a washing machine because you're just crap to bed. You know what I mean? Like you're excited to buy something that's gonna have fun. Yeah, you're in a good mood.
Yeah.
You're not buying a washing machine.
Imagine going
or a
in
fridge.
just give me some goddamn gold beads. Okay?
Yeah, like it's all I need.
$6. Oh my god.
I mean, you get the odd 1 out of 1,000 that's like that. But I mean,
do you have any 6.5X? You don't? Fuck.
I don't even want these.
I hate fishing.
Yeah, you ruined my day now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to catch anything.
Ruined my day.
Yeah. Anglers are happy people.
Right. Yeah. And so we'll get back to it because I get sidetracked. I'm sure you guys know
that's
that.
okay.
But anyway.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were going on this kind of group thing.
Yeah. We would do it every like year if we could. This was kind of like the year after like COVID had hit. So I think, I don't know, man. Everything seems like a blur in the last 3 years. But we met him down there, fished with him half a day, just kind of hung out, and then like the last day fished with Rachel, our head guide.
Rachel Finn.
Rachel Finn, yeah.
It's cool. Her last name's Finn, right?
Right. I know. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. My last name sucks.
Yeah.
For fishing lines, like it's not that great. I mean, it's it's an alright.
Yeah, mine's pretty shitty too.
I hear you, man. You've got Pescatore.
I've got the worst fishing name,
which is also like a fishy name. Finn Pescatore
literally means fisherman in Italian.
Well, that's like perfect. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Come on.
that's wild.
It's cool. I know.
Mine is like soap maker, I think. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, it's German. I think it means soap maker. Yeah.
Mine is whomst loves bread, and it checks
out.
And
that is on brand.
I do love bread.
Let me tell you.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man.
Doozling is not a fishy name. Finn, man, that's a fishy name.
Yeah, it's a very fishy
name.
And
Rachel's a bit of like a legend around here, no?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I would say you could chalk her up to like Fran Betters easily, if not.
Oh wow, yeah.
On the same level, if not more.
Yeah.
She's a kick-ass guide, kick-ass lady.
She's an amazing angler too, right?
Yeah, she will make you look like you can't cast worth a crap. That's the best way I can describe it to you.
It's unfortunate we didn't cross paths because
I know.
When we told when we were chatting with Ethan from Reddington and even Joe from Costa, they were both like, "Oh, are you gonna get to meet Rachel? Like, she's great."
Yeah, they're like, Rachel's like legit.
Yeah,
like,
she is.
She's balling.
Yeah,
fuck, I want to meet Rachel.
I mean, it's a legendary place, right? It breeds.
Well, like you say, Fran Betters, and
there's 3 flies that are like known from this river:
the
Ausable Wolf, the Ausable Bomber, and I mean the Haystack, which is the original Comparadon, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
I did not know
about that either.
That's
let's put that
legend
let's
there.
Put a pin in that.
It's like the woolly bugger. There's like 6 different people that said, "Oh yeah, I invented it first." It's like, kind of thing, right? Everybody has a gripe over like that or this.
But the sable wolf.
Yeah, the sable wolf is an awesome pattern.
Yeah.
Just that coloration is a huge deal, I think.
I was also
personally.
I was using one the other day. I was just like, I really want to catch something.
Yeah.
On an sable wolf in the sable.
Right.
Yeah. I know.
It didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, I got that one on the bomber today earlier, which is
that
fun.
was cool. Yeah.
Huge fly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Big flies.
we'll get to the fishing in a second.
Yeah, so Rachel Finn.
Yeah, Rachel
you're
Finn.
down there
chit-chatting on the gravel bar, fishing a steelhead stream back home.
Yeah.
Just talking about the area, really, to be honest with you. Just chit-chatting. I'd come up here first for an ecology class for college, basically. That was really my introduction to this area.
Because you went to school for environmental biology, right?
Environmental science, yeah.
Oh, environmental science. Yeah,
so,
cool.
Nice. In Buffalo?
Yeah, in Buffalo.
Nice.
Yeah. So, ecology is cool. It's a lot of fun. And hey, when they said, "Hey, you want to do like a ecology class in the Adirondacks for a week?" I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Go kayak and canoe and like just hike for a week and learn about something and like get college credits out of it. Like
that's cool.
You'd be kind of dumb not to do it.
Yeah, that's
great. It's just a lot of fun. Plus, you didn't have to like worry about food or anything like that. It was just like all included in the whole thing. So that was nice. That was a big part of it.
That's pretty sweet.
But yeah, like just chit-chatting about the area. Had hiked here a ton. That kind of leads to my backcountry-esque style of like exploration, right?
Yeah.
So, you're walking by a stream, and it just as any fisherman, really, any piece of water, you can tell who's a fisherman when you drive by a bridge because they slow down. That's literally.
Or they do the like.
Yeah, they do like the little
on
like
YouTube, you're doing the little
over there,
looking over the
right. Yeah. I mean,
totally.
you can tell who slows down is a fisherman just because you just know, like you do the same thing, right? So I mean, you look at a creek and you're like, hey, that's just common nature. So exploring the little creeks in the backcountry, just hiking to do some of the high peaks or whatever, just hike and go, oh, there's a brook trout in there.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care that I'm like 4 feet away from him because he's probably never seen a single person. There's literally no footprints here.
Yeah.
It hasn't rained in like 2 weeks. So that's a lot of fun. Like up where we were yesterday, there was probably hasn't been people there in a long time.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
You could feel that. You could feel the sense of that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
You didn't even see any trash, which is like actually,
that's what Andy
Andy
awesome.
said the same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty great. That's a big part of this area, right? I think people in this park, I mean, not everybody, there's obvious, occasion, but most people respect it. They understand what this place is.
Yeah.
6 million acres, man.
Forever wild. Of land,
It's a lot of land.
It is a lot of land.
It's a lot of land.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Rachel invites you to work at the
Hungry
Trout?
Now we're getting off track again.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
it's
so Rachel was just
about,
chit-chatting me about all the rivers up here, and we would like exchanging like information, just kind of talking about fishing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, if you ever want to maybe work up here, or something like that, or if you're interested in moving up, just let me know.
Yeah.
That was like an hour and a half conversation while we just rested the steelhead pool. So
yeah.
That was pretty sweet. It wasn't that simple. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, here's your job. She's got to weed out, make sure that you can actually do it.
Totally. It's not,
it's
not an easy job.
No, not an easy job. You've got to be able to really keep things in your mind, keep things in your head. As much as like I have a map here, I have things written down. And that's rarely outside of my safe in my house.
Yeah.
You do have to keep a lot of things in your head. You got to remember things. Like even to this day, I can tell you what flow would be good on X Creek in Buffalo. Just because the more time you spend and fish, the better you're going to get it. And, at the same time too, if you can't remember it, if you don't get to fish a lot, just keep a log.
Yeah.
Right? Just 3 simple facts, right?
Yep.
Temperature, flow, if you have it on any kind of graph, and like coloration of water, right? Or like what the barometric pressure is. You can add a couple little things in there.
Yeah.
Like cloudy.
Yeah, cloudy. Just little things like, was there pressure? Was there a storm coming in the next day? Was there, whatever. And then just write little things, this fly worked for some reason, where you fished. Keeping a log is important in my opinion. That definitely helps.
Yeah.
Kind of cool to look back on too. It's like a little fishing diary.
Yeah, and it makes you remember like little memories. Like,
Yeah.
That's to me a lot more important is when you're fishing with somebody else. It's just like
Totally.
things you remember from going fishing.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in Quebec a few years ago, me and Adam woke up and it was like 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking like
cold.
Yeah.
July, like
Isn't 23
14th.
Fahrenheit 0 Celsius?
32 is 0. So it's
so
like
it's below 0
yeah,
Celsius.
yeah. So it's
That's
like 28's
freezing.
like -2, -3, somewhere.
What time of year?
July.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, no, I know.
Wow.
We were not prepared for it.
Up
I
in
mean,
the
like,
gas bay?
yeah,
Wow.
like, you know, like we had sleeping bags and stuff like that.
So in a day, it went from -2 to
Like,
like 28.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's hot.
That's crazy. I don't even understand that fishery.
I mean,
Wild.
you know, it's somewhat elevated. I don't know what the exact elevation is necessarily, but it's a valley. You know, where the campsite is, especially, it's a valley
in the Chick-Chock Mountains,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah, kind of like the bottom end of it, I think, technically, where that area is.
Oh, the Bonaventure is so beautiful.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. I cannot wait. Friday.
Oh yeah, you're going Friday.
Friday, yeah. We did it a day early because I was like, oh yeah, I'm off. And I called the Zach and see if they had the campsite for another day. And I'm like, yeah, screw it. Let's do it. You know, at least we can kind of take our time getting there as much because we're still planning on fishing like the Sunday. So if we miss like half the day on Saturday, it's
welcome,
whatever.
Andy.
Hey Doritos and Saranac Pale Ale.
Andy
What
just
a
came in
great
with a
combination.
six-pack.
Oh, and a mango wheat ale.
And a mango reef from. Did you just drive all the way to River Racket? Racket River?
Got one for each of you.
What the
Phil
heck?
heads.
Whoa.
Wow. Look at that.
If you're watching this on YouTube and you're looking at Aldo's camera, you're seeing.
I get 6.
What?
Thanks, man. Check this out on YouTube. Andy just popped in and he's dropping us beers.
We got some sweet local beers. Yeah.
Wow, we're stacked. Okay. Well, there we go,
is
fellas.
A killer. That is one of my favorites too, though. The Saranac Pale Ale is
It's nice, yeah.
Well,
really
I mean,
good.
it was pretty good timing because I just finished my beer.
Pop that
off.
top off, Andy.
Yep.
Okay, so Rachel. So, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to like backtrack a little
Yeah,
ways.
no
here.
worries.
No, I've got it.
Oh, I've got it. You got it?
We both got it.
I think we're both tracking here. So Rachel says, come on down, a long conversation. She's like, yeah, this guy's legit. He can do this.
Right.
And boy, was she right, because you've been here for almost 2 years, and you came down here from Buffalo. We posted up in the town, a little township of Jay.
Yep.
And which we had breakfast at today. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Great coffee place. Good
that was-
recommendation. Those eggs were dope. Those were like the best
Really
scrambled eggs I've
good.
ever had.
Really good scrambled.
The Anne Arundel Coffee Cafe has like the best breakfast
Yeah.
ever. Like it's so good. I
Really
mean,
good breakfast.
I'm really sad we didn't get the iced coffee because like their iced coffee is great. And it
always
looks
tomorrow.
really good.
There's
true.
always tomorrow.
So it's called, what's it called again?
Anne Arundel Coffee Cafe.
Adirondack Coffee
Yeah,
Cafe. Check
yeah.
that out if you're around Wilmington, Jay. Any of these
Short
places.
5-minute
Lake Placid.
drive over
Yeah.
there.
That's
You
what I
might
love
have to
about here.
wait
Everything's
20
just
minutes.
It is a very easy like to get around to the different
Yeah,
spots.
right. There's not a lot of turns. That's the nice thing about the area, right? There's not a lot of turns, but you do have to go a little ways sometimes to get to places just because of the fact that there's so many wilderness areas. So, which is great. It's super cool. You know, there's at least a half dozen in the area specifically. And that's the big part about access, right? Is most of the land isn't public fishing right, which is like New York's equivalent to just fishing rights lands, right? Like you get the ability to fish there. That's like what its sole purpose is. Here it's more wild forest, so you get to access it pretty much for any reason you want. You know, there obviously are rules you have to follow if you hunt or something like that, or mountain bike and hike and that too. But you can pretty much access it and do with what you want. Whether that be hike, fish, explore,
Bike. There's a lot of bikers.
Right.
A lot of
Cyclists, I guess, is better.
Yeah, there's a lot of cyclists around here. I mean, we have the Ironman. We have that Olympic stature.
Right.
Even though it's not a Summer Olympics, it's a winter. But
It's got the vibes.
yeah, it's got the vibes
It's got
to
the
it.
vibes.
Yeah, it's got the location.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
it's tough. It's not an easy place. Whether that be wading or whether that be cycling, it's a difficult place to do both. So, yeah.
Oh, no.
Should we talk? Well, this might be a good segue. I was just going to say, should we talk a little bit about the area?
Yeah.
Like, where are we? Like, what? Like, you mentioned a park. Like, what's the park? What's going on?
Yeah.
The park is located in like the northeast, I guess, portion of New York, the Adirondack State Park. I'm sure somebody's out there yelling at their mic or their phone or whatever they're listening on about how I said that. So apologize for the Buffalo accent. But no, we're in that park. It's 6 million acres. I think about half, and it's pretty much split between the two, privately owned and publicly owned. I think it's like one a little bit more than the other, but I don't remember which, so I don't want to quote anything wrong. But it's a lot of land to explore. You can get lost here for years.
You said 6 million acres
6
of parkland?
million acres. You could put this park,
That's
could
crazy.
fit Yellowstone, I think Yosemite, and like Glacier in it. And still have like 1 million acres left over.
And we're in the Adirondack Mountains, obviously.
Yep.
For the skiers out there at the base of Whiteface Mountain.
Yes. Historic mountain for its Olympic
and your
stature.
ski patrol too.
Yeah, ski patrol in
That's
the
just
winter.
like Matt Dotson.
Yeah.
It's
Shout out to Matt.
that's a pretty common job. I feel like for a lot of fly fishing guides or like anybody that does any kind of summer activity, whether that be a rafting guide, climbing guide. So it kind of fits well. You're more trained to handle some kind of medical situation.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's a big part of it, right?
Right. Okay, before we get too far into the like landscape and stuff like that, so you did the winter stuff. You just did you know about that coming down? I guess obviously you were like, oh, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what it was. I got into contact with them pretty early in the summer just to line up and make sure that I was gonna have something to do in the winter.
Yeah,
right.
You know, we do ice fishing a little bit as well.
Nice.
Which is a pretty nice change of pace, you know, compared to fly fishing.
On Saranac Lake.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, they're chain of lakes, yeah. So there's 3 chains of lakes there. They're a little bit more difficult to access, actually. They're not like you can just drive it up and just throw your stuff on it,
right?
Which is kind of cool, actually.
Hike back and stuff.
Yeah, you got a little bit of a hike. I mean, you're not talking miles, but half mile, some
Nice.
places, something like that.
And it's all trout?
That one is going to be a mixture of pretty much everything you can think of in this park. You know, with pike, bass, walleye, perch, panfish,
Tiger
lake trout.
muskie?
I don't think there is tiger muskie in that.
Oh.
There's a few lakes that do have them. They've stocked it periodically
Right.
with different lakes and stuff like that. Some of them they've stopped, but they live for a while. So,
Yeah.
the winter stuff lined it up pretty early just to make sure that there was something to do.
Yeah.
Other than that, winter plan was to go back to Buffalo and maybe guide for steelhead stuff.
Gotcha.
Right.
You know, work at the Orvis store there again.
So what was the first few shifts like here? Like when you were like, do you remember your first guiding trip and stuff like? What was the What was the training like? Was Rachel like, I'm going to teach you everything about these rivers now? Or was it just like, all right,
the training was kind of like more of like a, you know, come up here like May 1st, and explore. You know, like, figure it out. Which, to be honest with you, is kind of like
super important.
a better way, I think, right? Like just kind of throwing somebody in a deep end and just go, hey, you know, you got to figure this out for your own. Like we'll give you some pointers and say, hey, you know, this section is pretty decent, but you know, this one's all right for just this, right?
Yeah.
No, opening up and like just exploring. I mean, I love doing that, you know. I mean, every creek in Western New York you can possibly imagine I've looked at some point.
Yeah.
Not everyone. I mean, I can't say that every single one I've looked at, but I would like to go to new ones, you know, explore new water. Oh, I went up this way this time. I'm going to go downstream this time, you know,
right.
That kind of stuff. And I mean, if you like that, this is the area to do it.
Yeah.
You know, 6 million acres.
And a combination of kind of creeks, but also rivers,
right,
lakes.
right. And you'd be surprised how many boggy areas have brook trout in them. A lot of them, you know, do have some kind of spring or some kind of water influence from the ground.
What about that one over there?
There is some. There is, you know.
I was looking at that the other night. It was like overflowing, and it was super calm. And I was like, man, that looks fishy. That looks like one of those brooky bogs, you know, that you read about. Right. I was like, is there? Man, that looks fishy. I know. I wanted to.
That's
just
exactly it, right? Like it's the exploration. You see something, you're like, let's look at that. You know.
Yeah. True.
There's so many rivers and so many lakes here. You could fish from when you're a very young person to when you're an older person, then you'll probably never fish them all. I mean, even if you just took half or quarter of this place, there's a lot of water to fish.
Yeah.
And to be able to fish it all would be absolutely insane. It'd literally be your job.
Yeah.
Which lucky enough it kind of almost is. But it was more of like a just kind of like, you know, I've been doing it for a long time. Every year I've been doing it like 50 to 100 days, if not more, on the water.
Yeah.
You know, get out of work, go fish.
Yeah.
You know, even if it was just for bass in some little creek nearby the house, 15 minutes away. It's something to do in the afternoon, evening. Yeah. When I was young, I would piss my parents off. So I'm sure if they're listening, they'll know. They were not happy when I would stay till like 9 o'clock at night.
Right. Yeah. They're out in the dark,
they weren't very happy with me.
Exploring the woods.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it was a little tiny town park. It's not like there was anything crazy going on, but you know, their parents.
Sure. Parents.
Yeah.
But now you're hiking around the mountains, looking at streams and all kinds of stuff, right? I mean, that, that's pretty cool.
There is a lot of different rivers and different places that you can explore, and every single one of them, like I was saying, most of these small streams that I've been on, they're all very unique. They do have some similar attributes to them, but a vast majority of them are very unique in their own way. Some of them are more gradient filled, some of them are a little bit more kind of flat, you know, almost just little riffles. Some of them are like just pure plunge pools for most of the stretch. And, you get into some places where it kind of evens out, but there's a lot of really, really plungy brook trout pools. Yeah. And I mean, you're talking like a stream that's as wide as a king bed, right? But it plunges 20 feet in random spots. Yeah. And maybe for half a mile. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of diversity in the water here, whether it be the pocket water style water we fish in the Au Sable. There's a handful of pools through most of the stretches, but they're not like your traditional riffle run pools you might see in some other waters. Yeah. It's a bit more pockety water here. Lots of large rocks. Lots of big bugs. Yeah. Lots of really big bugs.
That was one thing that I was really, maybe I forgot, or maybe I just didn't fish that way. Well, I obviously know way more about fishing now.
Right.
Than when I was a teenager, but like, I fished pretty small back at home.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it was for me in Buffalo too. We fished small bugs. Small the biggest stuff I was throwing was maybe like 12s and 10s.
Yeah, that's like Ontario. Yeah.
Here it's
maybe.
Like
not even a 10.
Yeah, right. And that's like the attractor fly you throw just to fish a topper dropper, right? Yeah. It's not even like really to get eaten. It's just kind of like the meat indicator. Yeah.
No, these got eaten.
Yeah, no, these got eaten. Yeah, I was throwing a size.
But the stoneflies we were seeing were huge.
Oh yeah,
like the stoneflies on the leaves and flying in the air, like they're
huge.
I mean, obviously stoneflies are big, but still,
they're just juicy stoneflies here.
Right,
golden juicy stoneflies. Golden
sounds like you
juicy. One. Yeah, man. I mean, I can see why the trout love them. Like they're pretty big. Like I've seen stoneflies in Ontario, and it's like I know these are bigger.
Yeah, there's only been a few other places I've seen stones in the state that are that size, and they're not as common. Like I flipped over 2 rocks earlier within 5 minutes of each other, and had 2 big old
your
stones.
pinky. It's like the size of your pinky.
Yeah, without a doubt, if not bigger sometimes. The Dobson flies too are huge. Yeah, we didn't see any really today, but I've seen them around the past week or so.
Dobson flies are huge,
gigantic.
Well, you were telling me you saw one that was like
with that.
You guys thought it was like a bat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The first time I ever really saw one was like teenager years. I'm like, what the heck is that thing? Like.
Like a bird.
Like it's flying really slow. So I was like, okay. Yeah. We looked at it and we're like, it's not bad. We're like, oh my God, it's a Hellgrammite. Because there's not a lot of those really. I mean, there are some, but there's not a lot in Buffalo. Yeah. They're around, but you don't see them on a regular basis. And I was like, that's
trout like that though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bass too. Bass love those things. Yeah. Dead drift a black woolly bugger. Yeah. You'd be surprised. But
so is this the kind of place you can see yourself putting your roots down and sticking around for a long time, or what? I
don't know. I'm young. Hey, it's tough, right? Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, you can't beat the beauty. Yeah. Rachel has had the fortune of being some really pretty places. She's guided in Alaska, and she's gone to Argentina. She's gone some crazy places, right? And she's lived here for a while, and she says that every time she comes back, she's still amazed and awed by like how pretty it is here.
This place,
it really is. It really is a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's absolutely
amazing.
Gorgeous.
Getting to there's like deep gorges, mountains.
Yep.
So green, verdant, lush. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah, the fall is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Fall must be dumb.
Yeah. I did a hike with my buddy John last year in Catamount. Yeah. And it's a mountain hop skip across the ridge here to our left. Yeah. And just like standing there looking at that valley with all the different colors. I mean, there's a lot of variation in it too. It's not just a red. Like it's red with a little more orange in it, or this. There's yellow with a little tint to an orange. It's pretty awesome,
And it's a great place to take the fam.
Right? Yeah.
Like it's an easy place to come, and like if you're listening to this and you have kids and you're an angler and you're like, where can I go that I can take? Like this place is kind of perfect because it's like tons of water to explore. Like great water places to fish.
Great
places to hike. And then like Lake Placid's amazing, Wilmington's amazing. This place is comfortable, amazing. Like
beautiful.
As far as fishing trips go, like this is probably
it's
your
a pretty easy one to do. That's right. Like that's the big part of it. There's plenty of for somebody to do. You can get a guide trip with us, and then whoever could go with the kids into town and hang out. There's the Olympic Museum, which I know is currently being worked on, but it will be completed, I believe, by the winter. For the university games, we have the
cool.
FISU games coming here.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Which are pretty big deal, actually. We're going to have a lot of...
When's that?
That is this winter. So it's the winter games of it.
So this is going to be like a bump in town.
Oh, it'll be crazy here, yeah.
Right on.
So
that's awesome.
It's going to be the Alpine events here, as well as Mount Van Helvenberg will do like the luge and all that stuff. They're going to play hockey here, I believe, as well as a couple other destinations that just to spread out because it's a large tournament. So
I know I'm jumping around a lot, but man, ice fishing, I want to come down and ice fish here.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. There's some really, really good ice fishing.
Well, even Andy and I were saying earlier that we really want to come back here because I used to come ski here as a teen, right?
Yep.
And, plan a little ski trip, but then once you and I were talking about ice fishing, kind of do both.
Yeah.
Kind of fun, like ski, do some ice fishing.
You ever ice fished, Andy? You have? With us?
No. Crazy enough.
Northern Saskatchewan, mostly.
North of Saskatchewan?
Mostly? You're doing this all the time?
Mostly.
Yeah, every weekend. What do you mean?
That's sick, man. I want to go ice fishing in Northern Saskatchewan. Okay, well, we should do that. We should go ice fishing. That'd be sick.
It's it really is such a special part of the world.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even realize it's like in their like backyard, basically. You're talking a couple hours and you're in a pretty damn pretty place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
100%.
It's its own unique thing.
Yeah.
Similar in ways to Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine. There's some really rare ecosystems on top of the mountains where it's all alpine or, vegetation left over from like the ice ages, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's certain birds that nest at that altitude, and like that's the only place they do it.
Yeah.
Throughout the Northeast, and they actually fly down south to higher mountains down south in the Caribbean area. So I think it's Bicknell's thrush.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that one.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if you say it with confidence, it's right. So,
sounds right.
Yeah.
Sure,
okay. Some birder out there is probably like, it's not that one. It's this one.
Probably.
Like, yeah, whatever.
Shut the heck up out there. Birders.
It is a thrush of some sort, but I don't know what it is. I'm probably right. I'm just probably second guessing myself.
Oh yeah,
usually happens.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the fly fishing and just specifically what we've been up to. I mean, the three of us kind of had some fun just farting around, checking out different spots in the Sable.
Yeah, I think that's Mitch, you had that awesome old map.
Yeah, those are great.
But it turns out that you still print those maps here, which is great.
Yeah, I still have them from when I was a kid.
And to your point earlier, if you are an angler coming here from out of state or out of country or whatever, it's not like you really have to. I mean, you have to know how to read water and stuff, obviously.
Right. Yeah,
but in terms of access, you don't have to really guess because, there are parking lots right off the highway, where you get the little fish sign that's like fishermen or anglers park here,
Right.
And so in that sense, the access is amazing. So you could come down here and it takes at least that part of the guesswork out of it, and then you can focus on trying to dissect the river,
Yeah. Right. And and it's a lot of pocket water, I was equating
what makes the Sable so famous and unique, I guess?
That is it. Basically, is the pocket water, right? The fantastic hatches too. Of course, every river will always claim that, it seems. But no, there's some really great hatches. I've seen some unbelievable Hendrickson hatches down Lower River.
Oh yeah.
And there are some like blanket hatches at times, which are pretty sweet. Of course, it's like any hatch, right? You got to get lucky.
We got the hexes now, right?
That's more of a lake bug up here.
Okay.
Not too many are going to be in the river, though. They do blow from wind from a lake or whatever over into it. So once in a while, you'll see a weird hatch of them on the water just because the wind's pushed them over to where you are. We like to talk about the upper sections like a time capsule. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
What hatches downriver here, like most large rivers, the water is going to be a few degrees warmer usually downstream, more towards where it connects at the Aussie Forks area. And the water is going to be different temperature-wise. Different bugs will be hatching versus up at the higher up stuff here in Wilmington.
Yeah.
And mainly we've been fishing the West Branch.
Yes.
Which is a catch and release only?
Some of it is.
Okay.
So a section, and of course this is due to change if it does, right?
Yeah.
Don't hold this to any gravity. But from the Flume Bridge Falls, which is right below where our location is, up to Whiteface Bridge, that's a catch-release section. It's artificial only. It is open all year, which is pretty cool. So you can fish it later in the season.
It's crazy.
New York State did change those rules, so you can fish pretty much every trout stream right now, catch and release only in the non-open season. So, which is cool. But this section would have been a section you could fish later October,
right?
Which is nice. But it's catch and release only behind the shop here, which means there's more fish hanging out. Means they're a little bit smarter too, so it's something to keep in mind. But earlier season, they're still pretty much readily available to eat about anything you can imagine.
You said New York made it most of the trout rivers like all season?
Yeah, I don't know if it's every single one. Right. There probably are some exceptions to it. So, check your regulations, of course, before you go out. But almost all rivers, I believe, are catch and release only from around October 16th to March 31st.
Okay.
Catch and release, artificial only. Check your regs before you get out there. But
I wonder why'd they do that? Because didn't they used to close?
They used to close them. Some streams back home in Buffalo would be closed during that time of year. I found a lot of them that had brook trout in them were probably because it's not a very large resource, right?
Yeah,
They've been pushed out of a lot of their land that they used to be in, and so those seem to be closed a bit more. And the other ones you could fish in the winter, and once in a while we would. If it got warm and the steelhead fishing was kind of crappy or it was just blown out because of the snow melt.
Winter trout fishing.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
It was really cool. It's effective. It's fun. It's something to do when it's 55 degrees outside and it's February. Just some random hot day.
Yeah. Right.
You got to get out. I mean, you can't just sit outside and wait. It's just like you're just not going to be.
That's what we do, and it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have like some banger day. Every once in a while, you have a really good day, but most of the days are going to be like a couple fish. Yeah. You're working for fish. It's not easy.
For sure.
It's not easy fishing. Let's put that out there for sure.
Yeah.
Winter fishing's never easy, but no. But
okay, so this river is tons of pocket water, and that's probably because it's just Boulder City, which is tough.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of larger boulders, more metamorphic rock, which is pretty sweet. Some of the oldest rock in the world. According to geologists, it's really cool. So the fact that you're standing on rocks that are millions of
That's what Andy and I were talking about.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
You're saying the rocks,
old
the rocks will outlive humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that rock right there is going to be there till the sun explodes.
Yeah, there are photos you'll see from the 1800s where things are like literally the same that you see now. So it's pretty cool to see that. The area is pretty old. I think Jay was found in like 1790 something. Oh, wow. So I mean, that's an old town. So, and then also the catch and release section, too, is on the one from Bassett Flats up to River Road, just to put that out there. But, there's a lot of catch and release sections of water. I would say it's maybe, a third of the water probably out there from Wilmington up, maybe. Yeah. That's just the kind of a rough estimate. It's hard to say exactly.
If you're a new angler coming down to the Osable, you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
What's a good recommendation?
Hire
place to start.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Hire a guide. I know
yeah.
it's not, it's
bet.
plugging the Hungry Trout or whatever, but anybody really, just hire a guide. That's a big thing, right? Every river is different in some sort of way, right?
Yes.
Doing it yourself kind of can suck sometimes, especially if you're just going to go, okay, I want to fish for 4 days and I'm going to just do it on my own. And if you've done that a lot, then sure, if you trout fish a lot, you've been all over the place, for years, that's great. But if you're more of an intermediate beginner angler, you're not fishing every weekend or whatever, you haven't been all over the place, to try different waters, it helps to have one day or half a day just to give you an idea of what is going on in the river and what to kind of look for, because this river is unique. It's very unique.
I would have shown up fishing small parachute Adams, tiny little Frenchies.
Yeah.
That's
totally. That's exactly what I would have
started.
Yeah. And you'll catch fish. Yeah. For sure. You'll catch fish and that stuff. But there are some patterns that we use here a lot more. It is Western-esque like. We're throwing big chubby Chernobyls, hopper dropper rigs like crazy.
Yeah.
Big girdle or Pat's rubber legs, just big bugs in general, right? Big stuff.
Well, the other thing is like a fishing spot. If you hire a guide, like they'll show you some spots, and a fishing spot's not like this section of the river. It's like that rock, like 20 feet off the shore, right to the left, and it's like you never would know. But it's like, we call that the shooter because it's this guy named Shooter was, and it's like they have a story, but nobody knows that. You hire a guide, they'll show you those little pockets, and those little spots teach you about the other
what
spots,
else to look
what
for,
I mean?
Right? Yeah. Because
and among other things, definitely hire a guide. But it's cool here. It really is like you're saying, like kind of fish bigger patterns. Hopper droppers is a good idea. Look for those juicy pockets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big boulder in the middle of the river, fish that boulder.
Yeah.
I'll make a recommendation.
Yeah.
Waiting staff.
Yeah, waiting staff.
Do
you know what I was thinking about on the river today? I was like, literally when we were standing in the middle of the river, I was like, man, imagine we had like little hoverboards. It was the future, and we could just be like, all right, let's go upriver.
We're just Back to the Future, Marty McFly across
flying. We're flying on the water. Like
that actually,
we would catch a billion fish.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier. That's for sure.
It'd be a lot easier.
Insane. Little chair on there.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with like physical strength, age, or anything. It's just it's so awkward.
It's technical foot ability.
It is technical foot ability. I was just thinking, I was like, if I just had a waiting staff, which I do, conveniently located back at my house in Toronto.
Yeah.
Usually I keep it in, like I have a bin that I just keep in,
You've seen the bin in my car too,
I took the bin out because we drove, Andy, all of us drove. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it was one thing I forgot to transfer because usually, I just leave it in there so I don't have to think.
Yeah.
I hate thinking.
I hear
in
you,
my
man.
old agents, I'm overthinking.
No, it's.
I'm with you, and this is just. It's like we've said 1,000 times, like because we can't stress enough. It's like boulders. Like you take a step and it's like
go slow.
Oh.
Yeah, right. You're not running like 100-yard sprints.
I don't care if you're 22.
Take time.
Yeah,
22 and like squat 220 pounds, or I don't know. Does that matter when you're waiting?
I've fallen a lot. In this river.
It's a different strength. It's a different muscle set, I would say, than most other things. It's not.
And it's a different weighting technique. Like you were saying, you kind of walk more on your toes.
Yeah, I use the current to my advantage, in a way. That's something I've found, right? You can kind of like lean into it a little bit. Obviously if you're in 2 inches of water, it won't do you anything.
Yeah.
Probably actually work against you. But yeah, you can kind of use it to help push you down. Yeah. So, in this river, take your time. There's a lot of boulders that just don't fit well together. It's like a really crappy puzzle made of different puzzles. It's not going to fit well.
Yeah.
So just take your time. There are some sections that are better, for weighting wise, for somebody that doesn't have the best weighting ability.
Yeah.
And there's some gnarly sections that you can get into if you're a bit more adventurous, Yeah. So, usually the gnarlier sections don't get fished as much just because, not many people can do it. But there's a lot of water you can fish. There's a lot of different water. It is very different in different sections of the river.
Yeah.
It goes from full on river to pocket water to like gorge to waterfalls to flats that you'd fish for dry fly fishing a little bit later in the evening or early in the morning, you know. And it can do that within a 5-minute stretch of driving on the road. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was like 17 and I was like, new to wading in a way. Like, of course, the northern rivers I fished a lot. That's where we fished when we grew up. But, I was like at Monument and I was just like walking at the base of there, just in the middle of it. Just like,
whatever. Right. Yeah,
it's just like, is this right? I'm just like tripping over stuff, scaring all the fish. And I fell and cracked my bamboo rod. I was like, I think it echoed through the white face. Just, no.
Zooms out as it happens.
No.
I was like, oh my god. But and then and now that I know more about just like rivers, fish more rivers, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is exceptionally like crazy.
Right. If you can wade here, you can wade anywhere else in the world. It's that difficult for sure. But that's not to say you can't.
Yeah, of course.
Get into spots that are easy.
The cool thing about that is a lot of spots are like right off the bank.
Right, yeah. You're not walking. It's not like we're going on some march through this crappy stretch of boulders with water and slime all over them.
You're not like zigzagging.
The pocket water is like right up to the shore.
Right, yeah. You can literally fish within 5 feet. In some places you can like fish on shore and keep your sandals on. So, it's not like you're killing yourself getting to a spot. There's a lot of spots really close by. As long as you take your time in that, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
A lot of people up here use felt, which is still legal in New York. So, which is fine. As long as you take care of them, it's not going to spread stuff. But I use rubber personally, just because I like to explore and go to new places, and rubber has a bit more traction.
Yeah.
Moving from place to place. Felt doesn't give you the best attraction on like looser stuff.
And also if you do want to explore like we did with you last night, you're mainly hiking, you're not wading. Those creeks are pretty small, like you're not going to get in.
Yeah, you might cross
unless
it maybe for like a second, and even then it's like basically up to your ankles, maybe a little bit deeper in some spots, but no, it's great. And it's a good way to like kind of beat the heat, just going into those valleys is like a 10-degree difference.
I'll say that that bomber, talk about big flies and stuff like that. That fish you got today on that bomber was really cool.
Yeah.
That was a nice fish.
That was a nice fish.
Yeah.
On a bomber.
Yeah.
Just tapping along
like
the surface.
a salmon fly, basically.
Fishing it, fishing it. Like, it wasn't just drift. It wasn't skating. Like, it was just, you're like fishing it.
Yep.
And there was like technique there.
Skittering bombers.
It's cool.
Skittering any kind of bug on this.
Skittering, yeah. That's really what it is.
Like, kind of like a wake, if you're familiar with like salmon, steelhead stuff.
Just like a hopping fly.
If
cool.
you look at bugs, and especially in the evening, they're going to bounce along the surface. They're dropping their eggs off the tails, and they're going to kind of tap,
Yeah.
And sometimes too, when like mayflies are hatching, they're trying to get off the water, trying to dry their wings. They can only fly so far or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Same thing with caddis. So it's pretty natural.
Buggy, yeah. It looks buggy for sure.
Skittering caddis is a pretty right. So
I was like, oh man, someone's gonna smoke that, and then it did.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And your dry fly got smoked a couple times too this morning.
Yeah, it was like a size 10 or 12?
8.
8? It's
8
huge. It was big. I was like, holy smokies.
Yep.
Chernobyl ant.
Like I said, Western-esque.
Holy smokies.
That's a big bug for East Coast.
Size 8, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know what size it was. I don't use the size fly like that. I was like, this thing is like
big.
my thumb.
Right.
It's crazy.
I really enjoyed last night. We hiked into a small creek, brook.
Mm-hmm.
Brook Creek.
Same
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Stream.
we were up the mountain, and it was just like the air was cool.
Yeah.
Like it was cold, which is
water
nice
was
because
freezing.
water was
56.
56.
Yeah.
Fishing our way down the mountain.
Yeah, which was pretty cool in this little creek. And
I felt like it was in a magazine. You see those magazines where people are like fishing mountain streams? It's like, well, that's us right now.
Yeah, I thought that a couple times.
Little pocket waterfall-y things, brook trout in them.
Bow and arrow casts.
You got a nice brook trout.
We got 2.
Yeah, you got 2 really nice fish.
Yeah, and then I hooked that one too. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, that was a really nice fish.
Yeah.
That was really pretty too. I saw orange was what struck me from like 20 feet away.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wild brookies.
There's some nice brookies in
It's funny. It's like
tightest, skinniest water.
Yeah, if you're watching if you're watching this on YouTube, I think you can kind of see the table we're on.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But we're just on a small little round table here, and like that's kind of where
the vast majority of them are living.
like you try and find something. And it's crazy what they live. I'm like, do you live here your whole life? I remember I caught that one brook trout.
Yeah.
And I was looking and I was like, you live here? Like you're just happy living
in a foot by 2 feet.
Yeah, like your whole
cold
life.
water.
Yeah, that's not a lot of room for. Yeah, I mean, put that.
Like, don't you get bored? Yeah. They're like, oh, there's that rock again.
Such a mysterious, magical place.
But maybe they don't though, because the second one I released. It shot downstream, which meant it shot 20 feet.
So they
kind of
go up and down. You think maybe?
To an extent, I think when they're spawning, especially, they might try and move from place to place. Right. A little bit.
I figured it would be hard for them to go up, but then again, fish are.
If it's higher water, they'll actually like swim up it. If
like
that makes
sense.
So
kind of
yeah. So like if you watch salmon, they'll actually like not like
launch,
always jumping over it. They're kind of swimming up the water.
Right? Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And I mean, they're designed for it. They're the perfect shape to be in water.
Yep.
They've evolved like that.
They know what they're doing, and those are all native brook trout.
Yep, all native to this
they've
area.
been there forever,
and they're hitting huge dry flies.
Literally hitting Fat Albert. I had a Fat Albert on. I was like,
just giant stuff.
Aldo's like, I got it on a Chernobyl. I was like, what? I had like a 14 Frenchie. I was like, all right.
I don't know why. I think it might have been because of the Lady Evelyn trips or something, or I don't know. In the back of my head, I was like, I think I'm just gonna chuck a chubby Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Or sorry, a Fat Albert.
Yeah.
Because I was like, brook trout.
Yeah, and they don't see people a lot. They're like a big meal, and they just smoke it.
It's a big meal,
instinct, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. They see something. I mean, especially in a stream like that, it's not large. It doesn't have a lot of aquatic life. So I mean, if they see something come by, it's freezing.
So not a whole lot of life.
Right.
No.
Yeah. You're talking high altitude, frozen kind of freestone style stream. Not a lot of bug life really.
Yeah.
Probably more mosquitoes than
the water was
mayflies.
Beautiful.
Like
it was like so clear.
Put my hat in there,
Yep.
I always try to dip my hat on fishing trips. I was like, this is a good place to do that because it was cold and nice.
And it was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hike out was sweaty.
But that's a good little tip though, like if you're gonna fish a tight, skinny water like that, where like throw on like something like a big fluffy pattern dry, and because these fish do just aggressively like smoke it.
Oh yeah.
And then you'll know, like you're not guessing, like, is there a fish in there that I just missed? Like, maybe there was, but like if you have a flag of Stimmy on or like a Chernobyl or a Fat Albert, like here it worked. Like even the small little like finger-sized brook trout were like right at the tail of the pool, like they would hit it.
They would jump out of the water.
You can't see them, but all of a sudden you see their side. And like they're so camoed too.
They're so camoed.
It's
You'll
crazy.
never know they're there.
No.
You gotta really. I mean, it's like anything. You go bone fishing, salmon fishing, anything like that, where you might spot fish, right?
Yeah.
And you get like that eye for it after a few days.
Yes.
Right? You start picking things out.
You can see them. You know what to look for.
Yeah.
Brookies, it's like, man, I don't know. Like
The
they
red
have
of
to
their
really
fins.
turn, you know?
Yeah, the red of their fins is like the only way I find them pretty easily, just because it stands out a bit more.
Yes.
You know, and some of them aren't as red as the others, so it's
funny they evolved like that. Like to have
right.
red.
Yeah.
I know, it's beautiful.
It's crazy.
I know it's like trendy or whatever to like, you know, be in love with native fish, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we probably should have always been in love with native fish.
Yes.
Right.
But like, not to discount stockies.
Sure,
you know?
fish is a fish. I love them all.
Oh, yeah.
The fish don't put themselves there.
No.
Right.
We
did,
still
right?
a fish.
Exactly.
It's not a
It's like-
robot.
so
or
to
something.
hate on stockies is weird to me because it's like, well, hate humans, don't hate stockies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But there is something special about you looking at that fish and you're like, I'm looking at hundreds and hundreds of years of genetic history.
Yeah.
You know, like
this specific place.
You're right.
Like how best to
thousands.
experience a place, you know?
like
Right. And
that
it's so
is
unique.
the place.
You're
It
meeting
is the place.
Yeah, it's a living thing. Like it's, it's crazy.
Each of them is like stupidly unique.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like snowflakes. They're all different. I mean,
Mhm.
some of them have 6 spots. Some of them have like 300.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some are greener, some are redder.
Yeah. Some have a little more like silverish tone to them, and
Yeah.
it just you can't beat it. You know.
Well, should we take a little bit of a break and then when we come back, get into some of the beefier questions?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? A little commercial break?
like
Oh
beef.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. We will be right back after these words. All right, we're back. Let's talk a little bit about just like some of your favorite, most memorable kind of like experiences down here. Like, do you have a fish or a moment on the river that's just stood out to you as like, oh, that was the best.
Or
That
a
was
guide
the
day.
best, you know? Or a guide day, yeah. Let's start with a fish. Like, what's one of your most memorable fish you've ever caught here?
There's a pretty memorable one like a little while ago. A smaller stream. It was like one of the largest fish I've caught out of like a small brook trout stream.
Yeah.
It's like a 13-inch brook trout, which is
Awesome.
that's a nice fish, you know, and it was
It's
just
nice fish anyway.
beautiful, you
Yeah.
know. Skitter and the caddis, like cast it up,
Yeah.
skitter and the caddis back, boom, smoked it. And as soon as I saw the fish roll, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not a small fish.
Yeah.
Just in a big waterfall plunge pool, you know.
That's
and,
cool.
You got to toss a long line. So, yeah, just like after work or whatever, just throw over. So screw it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
That's a pretty memorable fish. Other than that, I mean,
What about a guide day? Yeah, like what about a guide experience? Like you've had like what's been one of the most rewarding guiding moments since you've been up here
yeah.
in the last 2-ish years?
I think for most people, it's like getting somebody into their first trout or first fish, you know, both kind of go hand in hand. You know, and kids love catching their first fish. That's like a big one too, right?
Yeah.
Like, seeing a kid like just elated and happier than could be just to have like that opportunity like to see a fish like that close, you know, in a river that they were just standing in fishing for 30 minutes. That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
I would say that's like more of a memorable moment, you know, for anything really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a trip I had last year. Young girl hooked a really nice brown behind the shop here.
Oh yeah.
Reeled it in by herself, fought it all by herself. You
Awesome.
know. And she caught her fish. She didn't want to hold it, so I held it forward next to her.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna just go hang out in the rocks." And she just hung out, you know, and like let her brother and her dad fish, and that was like just
cool.
super wholesome. Like, you know, she was just like content with catching that one nice fish, and was like, "This was fun. I'm just gonna, you know, hang out, enjoy my day." So, yeah,
That's cool, man.
yeah, that's a good memory.
I dig that. I get that. You know, catch a
Right.
nice fish and I'm just gonna chill. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of like what I do. It's awesome.
Right.
Catch a
Yeah.
nice fish. You're like, yeah, I'm just gonna kick back for a bit now.
Yeah.
Pressure's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got 5 more kind of questions like
Oh
that.
boy. Well, I got another answer to that one too. There's
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Keep it going.
few days
No,
or a week or two ago, hiked in some water that I haven't like fished in a while.
Yeah.
And just had like an epic hatch, like Sally's, caddis, all different stuff.
Yeah.
Just had fish rising all over the place.
Yeah.
And lost 3 brook trout actually, which is pretty cool. You know, like today, you know, when you find them, you find a couple with each other. Usually that's just how it goes. But
Yeah.
Caught a really nice like 17-inch brown trout. Wow. With like a view of all the mountains and stuff like that in the background, which is just like you just sit there and you're fighting and you're like,
And it was just you out there?
wow. Yeah, that was just me.
You just
That's
release
awesome.
that thing and you're
Nothing
like,
else.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purple haze 16.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, I never fished purple until I went to Montana for the first time.
Yeah.
You know,
color.
you go into the great color. And you're going into the fly shops,
Yeah.
as you do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, purple haze. You know, it's like fly of the day, purple haze. And the guy at the shop is like, yeah, purple haze. I'm like, purple haze.
What's a purple haze look like?
It is basically like a parachute Adams,
Mhm.
but swap the gray dubbing for purple.
Oh,
Am I
okay.
kind of on the money?
Oh, literally to a T. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Literally
okay, yeah.
at Parachute Adams, except it's purple.
Purple.
Oh, I've
body.
got one of those in my box.
Yeah.
They're awesome
Yeah.
flies. I use them.
Yep.
I use them at home. They're
Oh,
sick.
cool.
They're great. I don't know what it is about purple. And then so when I saw the purple Fat
Chubbies.
Alberts,
Yeah,
chubbies,
yeah,
I was
purple
like,
chubby.
I'm buying a bunch of these.
Yeah.
I was like, because we do a trip every September in a region called Temagami
Okay, cool. Yeah, yep.
called
yep. I know what you're talking about.
on the Lady Evelyn River.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those brookies are going to go nuts for the
Oh,
purple
yeah.
chubby Chernobyl.
Totally.
I saw those in your shop, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
those are going down
Yeah.
for sure.
They'll go bananas for them. Yeah. That's one of my favorite flies to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I throw them like a size like 14 in the backcountry a lot for
Yeah.
brookies.
Nice. Yep. Pink's always been a color I loved for trout, but yeah, purple's great too.
Yeah. I think it changes the color a little bit, you know. Tannic water helps that too a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that's a big part of this river too. That's another thing I don't think we've touched on is it's tannic water. It's
True, yeah.
tinted like tea.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like orange pico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In most of the rivers that some of it isn't, you know, if they go up. But vast majority of it has that like kind of stain to it.
Yeah.
Which works in your favor if you've never fished here before because it's gonna cut out the clarity at some point. You know, it depends on how high the water is, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, 4 to 6 feet ish, somewhere around there. So it can kind of help you to find the deeper pockets. You know, if you can't see the rocks too well, it's about a little bit deeper. So,
Yeah.
something to keep in mind if you've never fished here before.
Yeah.
You know, if you've used to been fishing like kind of clear water. So it kind of helps a little bit.
Yeah, it changes what you're, the flies and stuff you're using, right?
Right. Yeah. And you can get away with a little bit heavier tippet too. You know, vast
Yeah.
majority of the time fishing 4X.
And honestly, I don't think you want light tippet here. Like,
No,
I'm sure,
no.
anytime you use lighter tippet, obviously if they're leader shy,
Yeah.
I don't know to explain this, but it can help. But if you hook a fish here, there's so much to contend with. You're not chasing this thing down the river.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It ain't happening.
No.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be able to run around trying to, you need to pretty much land the fish
Yeah.
pretty
Within the
close
place
to
you
where
hooked
you
it,
hooked
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so just that's a good point. That's another good pointer.
Yeah.
Don't show up with 7X
Yeah.
thinking you're going to land
And
something.
you're probably never going to even use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these fish aren't all that shy, right?
No, they're not too leader shy. Especially in the faster water, they're very little at all leader shy.
Yeah.
Some of our guys have used 3X with dry flies that
Wow.
are pretty small, and they go bananas for it because it's so fast. They don't have time to look at it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go fish the flat water,
Different story.
yeah, 5X has a little bit more of a play in it.
Yeah.
6X maybe too, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now before we ask the next questions, let's sit very quietly for like 20 seconds before I forget, just so I can get some kind of like room noise. All right, that's good. Okay, we're going to ask 5 questions. We got 5 questions at the end of the show called Mitchy's Fishy's 5 because they're fishy questions. My name's Mitchy, and there's 5 of them. And so we're going to ask that
It's
right
really
now.
quite to the point.
Yeah. And it's just kind of 5 more questions. You don't have to do anything differently. But, okay, the first question is, I think it's if you could fish anywhere in the world right now.
So what's your favorite fish?
What's your favorite fish and why?
He's done 122 episodes.
I don't remember the Mitchy's Fishy's 5. I never remember them. And my email is not loading them. I can't believe I can't remember them. What is your favorite fish and why? If you had to pick a favorite fish,
If
what
I have
would
to
it
pick
be?
a favorite fish,
Yeah.
I kind of want to go more general with it
Yeah.
because like there's two obviously distinct styles, but salmon.
Salmon, okay.
Yeah, because
cool.
I mean, Pacific and like Atlantic salmon are very different, you know, in their own way, right?
Yeah.
But just salmon in general, or you know, some kind of anadromous fish that moves back into the river it came from, or whatever it's polyandromous, I think, right? For the freshwater version. But anything like that is pretty incredible to me.
Yeah.
Whether that be a coastal brook trout, cutthroat, steelhead, salmon. But yeah, salmon I think are the bigger ones for that. Particularly Atlantic salmon.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going there in a week, you know, to Quebec to fish for them, and that's like, I mean, you hook those fish, and everything else ceases to exist. That's really the best way of describing it. You probably know it, I'm sure, a little bit. And
well, I do one trip, and you're right on the money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole nother world. Yeah. You know, these fish are incredible. The fact that they live in an ocean and come back to the exact spot that they spawn in and just eat swung flies or dry flies is just like incredible to me, you know, and then just to feel that power.
I can't believe they eat dry flies.
Right. You know, it's crazy.
Makes no sense.
It is. It's just nuts.
It's
whack.
Fun.
But
bright
they have
orange.
that fight and they have that will, and you know, there's a lot of issues now kind of pushing them back down, but no matter what people do, we still have them. You know, they still keep fighting to stay around. I mean, you know, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And I think if anybody's got to resonate with any kind of fish that's doing in hard times or going through something, that salmon can be a fish that you can resonate with because it's gone through and still is going through some nasty, shitty situations, and just keep pushing on and trucking through. You know, I mean, hey, there's dams along all other rivers, but they couldn't get back to their ancestral grounds, and they're still surviving to this day, which is pretty incredible.
Resilient. Yeah.
Right. They're resilient.
Tough.
You know, no matter how many times you just fuck them over, they still keep coming back.
They find a way back. Yeah.
You know? Atlantic salmon are unique.
I dig that.
Great answer.
100%. Okay, number 2 is if you could fish anywhere in the world right now, assuming it's the best time of year to go there, where would you go and why?
That's a tough one.
It's going to be the best fishing you've ever had in your life. If you go to this place, it's going to be like, wow, you're going to be like, for 50 years, like, oh man, it's never going to be like that again.
It's like bonefish at the right tide. It's Atlantic salmon with a fresh push of fish. It's a blanket hatch on the Henry's Fork. Like, I don't know.
Oh, that's a really tough one. See, that's like one of the more difficult questions that you could probably ever ask.
Yeah.
Pretty much anybody.
Yeah, totally. I know. It's because there's so many good places to go.
Right. Can I go back in time for this question, or does it have to be like present day?
Oh yeah, you can go back in time.
All right, back in time would be one for sure. I'd love to go back to like what East Coast, like Atlantic salmon, were like at some point.
Right.
That would be what, you know, just to see this area before, you know, everything kind of went to shit. You know, see how luscious
story of everywhere.
Crazy it was.
It's a story of everywhere, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like we're
just
always like, God, you imagine what the credit would be like in the 1800s?
Well, can you imagine going to Pulaski, and catching salmon in the Salmon River, like actual salmon?
Like the Atlantics that used to run up there.
And like catching them, you know? Like, fishing back then was like, we are anglers now.
There's
you know
thousands of fish as opposed to hundreds.
We work for it. We learn. Like back then, it's like, I bet you, that's not to say they were bad anglers and they didn't know what they were doing, but like, they go fishing and like they come back with like.
Have you seen a red devil spoon?
Yeah. Well, just look at those photos of the stringers, right? They've got like 100
I know,
salmon.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you really have to try that hard?
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you're chucking a red devil spoon.
I know.
It's just there's so many fish, you know.
Right. Like I mean, back in the day when like first like steelhead fish, I mean, there used to be salmon running the LA River and some of the rivers in the Southern California. And I mean, they were so prevalent that you could throw them out by the wagonfuls.
Yeah.
And
they did.
And
they
did.
And
they did.
They're not
now
there.
they're not there. But I mean, just to see like take modern gear back, and not even then, but I mean, back in the day when they used to fish with just dry lines and stuff like that with a spay rod, they were still catching fish like crazy.
That's all Mitchie does.
So like you don't have.
I don't catch any fish, but
you know, it's traditional. It's a lot of fun.
It's kind of fun.
But you definitely cast a dry line.
And when you catch a fish, it's like whoa.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah. My favorite's like seeing a salmon wake behind your fly. It's like whoa.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. Just seeing a fish look at it. Yeah.
They smoke it when it's dry line. They're just like they want that fly. You know?
They want to kill it.
Yes.
They want to
kill it.
They want to kill it.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is. But
I like the time travel answer, man. I like that. That's cool.
You know, it's just something a little different.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure not a lot of people think of it too much because everybody's like, oh, yeah, I'd like to go to here or there. And
well, what's the non-time travel answer? If you did have to just pick a destination, current day, you know, and it could even be just not even for the fishing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you'll catch fish, but like it's more like, wow, that place is crazy, or I've always wanted to go there. I mean, you're probably going there Friday.
I'm going to a pretty awesome place on Friday. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's for sure. You know, and that's not an easy fishery anymore. But
no.
Yeah,
Gas
fish are
Bay.
smart. Yeah, clear water, very clear water. Kind of out there, I guess, like Kamchatka. Maybe,
okay, yeah.
You know, or like the Russian for like rainbows, and there's a lot of different species there.
Yeah.
If I could include people with family members that fish and friends that fish, you know what I mean? Like that's more important to me. You know, I could care less where the destination it could be. It could be, you know, wherever. As long as I'm fishing with my buddies, with my family, that's more important to me.
Why? Like why?
It just, you know what? Fishing is a social thing, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's a social thing. Hanging out with people, enjoying their time together. That's
making memories together.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you know, it's more important than just going out and fish. I love to fish. Don't get me wrong. You know? But hanging out and spending time together with people you care about, and fishing and doing something fun is like half the fun. You know, you bust each other's chops and
right, boys.
Right,
hell
exactly.
yeah, right, boys.
Exactly.
Right, boys.
Yeah.
Right, boys.
I'm with you. No, I totally get it.
Yeah. He's over there
asleep over there. You can see it on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
That's more important to me. You know, my dad came up here last year and got to fish with him and my friend's dad for the first time in a while, just for bass. You know, just nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Just an easy float trip for bass, and it was fun. You know, just to be able to get out and fish with them. You know, for the first time in years, because me and my sister have had a busy schedule with soccer and hockey and cross country, and she played softball and track, all that stuff. So we never really had time to fish much the last 10 years. So to be able to get out and fish was just fun.
And have that experience together that you remember, talk about it, you know, during the holidays, whatever else, right? Like, and as you get older too, like it's kind of more, I find it more about that. It's like, you know, making memories.
I'd rather, I mean, I still enjoy those few times where you like walk the river alone.
Well, it's you and the river. It's like kind of a different
I still
thing.
enjoy that, but I don't enjoy it as much as I used to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's way more fun.
I'd like that too, but then it's always fun when you see someone because it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
You're like,
share that moment together.
Yeah.
You know?
You share the experience. I mean, that's the thing, right? At the end of the year, at the end of the day, it's about the experiences you have with the people. Yeah. You know, and the fish bring you to that.
I mean, and talk about them. I mean, we have a whole friggin' podcast. Thanks for listening. Okay, number 3 is I got this.
I'm like, is he going to remember?
What?
1 sec though.
Yeah.
I think your cables popped out a little bit.
Oh, is it?
That might be why
that little static.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of just exists, which is why I wanted that clean noise because I could take that out in post.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, number 3 is, and I totally remember this, is what is one of your favorite or best fishing memories
of all time?
Oh boy.
Like if you were like one memory that I put down in a book.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's got like that memory of catching their first fish, you know, on a fly rod. That's a big one, you know, just like a little largemouth. Well, like
it was a largemouth,
yeah, little largemouth.
Well, that was a good day though, because it was also pike and trout and
no pike that day.
Okay,
don't do too much more on it there. But no, more of like just some odd sunfish, like 1 or 2 trout.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I didn't know any better, unfortunately, that day. It's just too hot, probably.
Yeah. But a largemouth was your first.
Yeah, like a little largemouth.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Other than that, I mean, probably like, you know, first real like on our own a fishing adventure with my buddy Adam.
Yeah.
You know, fishing in Quebec, like on our own, like we're up there 1,000 miles away from home.
Yeah.
Last day, pop a tire.
Pop the tire.
Yeah. Popped the tire in the last day, and I was like, we ran down the stream, got there really early, so I just like brought my toiletry kit with me because we were kind of packing up because it's our last day anyways. And brushed my teeth, like walked around the back of the car. Oh, there's a tire popped, and there was a rock about yay big in there. We ain't patching that one, so we're like, okay, well let's just fish. You know, we're gonna fish half the day and go down home. So fished half the day. You know, I believe he got one that day, if my memory serves me correct. We got a couple more grills to come up to dries and stuff like that. Decent morning, you know, last day, had some fun. And then came back, and as soon as I came back to start changing the tire, it started pouring on us. So like,
of course,
there's a picture of me sitting on the tire, just covered in mud, head to toe, basically, just soaked, changing that tire. And we drove 1,000 miles home on a full size truck spare. Border guy gave us a little look, he's like, let's go that tire there, buddy. Hey, what you got in there,
Yeah.
And we kind of explained it to him, and like, he was like, oh, and he like looked back, and we like put the rock in the place where you could see it, and he was like, oh,
right.
And I literally just got the tires on my truck then, so I mean, it just made sense because there's a warranty on it. So I'm like, well,
it's a good memory.
Let's bring it back. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. It was like, oh man,
I like those moments,
Yeah. It seems those
Funny
places
chaos.
up there, we shall see, knock on some wood, but that place has got a pretty good reputation of pops and tires.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Rugged roads, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they grade it pretty often too, so it brings out the sharp ones.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
Not much you can do about it. That's a good memory.
I like it, man.
One I'll cherish for a while because it was just funny. It was just like, fuck.
Fuck.
Yeah.
It totally was. Partly this. Isn't that weird? Interference. It's still kind of there, but it was this. It was
No,
this.
I know. Once you unplugged it,
fucking crazy.
It's kind of weird.
Great memory. I dig that. Totally dig that.
Yeah.
And I know number 4.
Okay, sorry. Jesus Christ.
It's easy now because I've got most of them out of the way. But number 4 is, why do you fly fish? What do you get out of fly fishing? I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but like, why do you go out there? What?
Why
and
fly fish at all?
You're a guide. Like you're not just fly fishing.
No,
like,
I'm on the water on a
not just a
very
guide.
regular basis.
Fly shop manager.
Yeah. Fly shop manager and guide. Like fly fishing
Living
is like,
it is
your
like
life.
to a T. Yeah, that's basically what you do.
Why? What are you doing? Huh?
It brings joy.
Yeah.
If I could put it in one word, it's joy. Because, like I said, you're not going in there to buy a washing machine.
Yeah.
You're not mad. Your washing machine doesn't shit the bed, and you're like, fuck, I got to get a new washing machine. It's going to be like $1,000. It's a lot of money. Here's an uncrazy expense that I didn't plan on.
Did your washing machine break at all?
No, it didn't. I'm just, it's a good, washing machine, fridge,
that
whatever.
That is a good example. But
because
I
it's something
like,
that makes
like
your life
washing
convenient, and it's like,
It is a good example because, like, going to buy a washing machine.
100%.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, like it's
100%.
not fun. Like you're not enjoying that.
No.
Like I don't particularly enjoy like.
You have to
washing
sort of
dishes or
pretend to
anything.
learn about them.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this one oscillates at 60. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
a day. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, like
But you're
right.
People
This
are
one's
having
faster.
fun. It's
like,
joyful. Like you're
it's-
you're getting into people's lives where it's like, it's like this is why we live. Right?
yeah. I mean, even if you're sitting there frustrated, you're not catching fish.
Yeah.
You're with your buddies drinking a beer. If you're just outside in nature, it brings you joy. It relieves the stress out of your body. We talked about it after work. You go out and fish for a couple hours. It just de-stresses you, relaxes your body.
You're breathing fresh air.
You're breathing fresh
the
air.
Water's rushing around
There's
you.
birds. There's bugs. You're doing something unique
Yeah.
and different. It brings you joy. Teaching people how to do a sport is what I like to do. I mean, it's just the plain and simple gist of it. It's enjoyable. Sharing what I've learned. Trying to help people get through that learning curve of learning the sport is why I do it.
Side question. Obviously, you guide on the river, but are there a lot of like learn to fish days here? Like, are you doing casting clinics here, or is it mainly like pure guiding? Like,
There is, I would say, like a 50-50 split. I mean, that's like a rough estimate, really, per se. But
I mean, you're always kind of teaching when you're guiding, but you know,
yeah,
you know what I'm trying
yeah.
to say. Like
Yeah.
specifically, like I have never cast fly rod before.
there is a lot of those that come through the shop, and that's honestly, I think, more because of the boom that comes out of COVID here, as of recently. Like working at the store in Buffalo, we had a lot of people that came in after COVID and were like, "Hey, I want to try fly fishing. Like I've never done this before." All right, cool. Let's go cast out for 5 minutes and just kind of teach you like the basics of it, so you're not getting on the water and just like getting tangled and getting pissed.
Yeah.
Let's get you some info
Yeah,
at
that
least.
sucks.
Right? Like, it's not fun, right? When you try anything new, it's not fun to just go out there.
It
and
can be
you're
really
like,
frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an enjoyable time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, kind of lost my train of thought there.
Well, being able to help people through that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, just helping people
Show them
through
the fun.
basics. Yeah,
Yeah.
show them the fun. Show them what
and
why it brings you joy and why can you bring you joy.
And this is why you messed up. Don't get frustrated. Like, just do it like this.
Yeah, and it happens to everybody. I mean, I got stuck in a tree like twice this morning.
Yeah.
You know, it literally is going to happen. There's always going to be some branch or some little twig or stick or something like that. You're going to break off flies. Yeah. You're going to lose stuff. It's just part of the sport. You know?
I had one of those days.
Yeah,
the first day here, I was just like, everything was tangled all the time.
You have one of those days, and then 3 days later, you just fucking kill it, and you lose 2 flies. Yeah. That's just the way it
crush
works.
15 fish.
And as soon as you're kind of like, you're like tangled in a tree, and you're like, God, I just gotta catch this fish, and you're just like, I don't have to catch this fish, like whatever. Right. And you just like, okay, right, and then you just got untangle it, and you chill out. You know,
it's when you're relaxing and not thinking about the most.
Yeah,
that's usually when it happens. You know,
100%.
Enjoying your time and just
I dig it.
Being out in the water.
I dig it. Groovy. 100% groovy. I'm bringing groovy back.
100%. Okay,
I mean, it would work. It would work.
Did he say that?
No, he said he was bringing sexy back.
Sexy back. Yeah, groovy. Yeah. Groovy's coming back.
I'm bringing groovy. Okay, Austin Powers.
Groovy, baby. Okay, number 5, Mitch's Fishy's 5.
Favorite question.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what your answer. I'm really excited to see what it's going to be for you. So it is, if you were a fly, what would you be? What fly best represents you and why?
Not what your favorite fly is. It's like if you, Brandon, were a fly.
Yeah, like you had to get a fly tattooed on you. What would it be? Represents you. A representative fly. You know.
Like I'm an sable wolf, I think, because I'm like really hairy and bushy.
That's me. I'm a parachute Adams.
And I'm slightly obnoxious.
Yeah. I'm an Adams.
You're a chubby Chernobyl.
I'm a chubby Chernobyl for sure. Size 16.
What's Andy? Look at him. He's a San Juan worm.
He's definitely a San Juan worm. Yeah.
Look at him. Just sleeping.
I love it.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, take your time. Yeah, no,
that's a good one. That's a really good one.
I want you to definitely think it through. I'm watching a guy out there cover up the fire pit.
I love it here, man. Like I was as
so nice.
There's again another side. So while you think about what fly you are,
side away.
I just was like, we were driving through Saranac Lake.
Yeah.
On our way here, and I was just like, man, what? It's just beautiful. So beautiful here. And then when you like
a little shop,
turn on is this 86 Route 86?
Yeah, this is
so
86,
you turn on Route 86 and you make your way from Placid to Wilmington. You're like, what the fuck? Like I totally forgot.
Yeah, the mountains appear.
It's just so beautiful, and Andy's like, I can't believe.
And the
I've never been
trees
here
are
before.
all like kind of evergreen trees. You know, like a lot of that carnivorous sort of stuff.
Yeah, you can see a pretty prevalent line.
They're the trees that eat other trees. Yeah, they're carnivorous.
It's just beautiful when they do that. You know.
Yeah.
When they eat other trees.
Oh, that's fine.
Is it still going? Yeah.
Oh, it'll be fine. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fly. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Do you got it?
That's like.
Yeah, man. What would Yilma be? Did he ever answer?
Yilma?
Yeah.
He said Clouser, but like.
Yeah, Clouser.
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of hair.
Yeah. True.
Sorry, Yilma, you're not even here to defend yourself.
Clouser minnow. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of flashy.
Yeah. Effective. I don't know what that means. Effective.
Loves the salt
effective.
water.
Yilma's effective.
He's effective.
You know? San Juan worm. Effective.
It is effective.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what Andy would be. San Juan worm, yeah.
Yeah. Purple haze? No.
Andy?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just thinking about Brandon.
I mean, that's a good fly. Purple haze is a good one.
Yeah.
It's a killer.
Brandon knows what kind of fly he'd be.
I mean, I think I know.
So
or this is what I mean, I've only known you for 48, 72 hours.
Yeah.
I think you would be a bomber.
Yeah.
One because you, much like me, have a lot of hair.
True.
Like mainly on your face. Bombers are hairy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true.
And you love Atlantic salmon fishing and brook trout fishing.
Yeah, they work for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't let me tell you what you are.
Well,
I think that's a good choice. I was thinking that one too.
Yeah, a bomber.
Yeah. You know, or like
Color?
a woolly bugger because I like to fish for everything.
Woolly bugger's good, yeah.
You know, that's a fly that'll catch pretty much every fish known to mankind.
Yeah.
Talk
about effective, yeah.
Right. But no, woolly bugger or a bomber. Bomber's a good one.
Bomber's
just a woolly bugger that floats.
Bomber's good.
But yeah, I like the
There's
bomber.
something kind of like old school about a bomber too.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of history to a bomber.
It's a classic pattern.
Yeah.
And we're in a classic place.
What color?
Purple.
Purple bomber. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Give away my secrets a little bit, but
Nice.
yeah. Just a little bit.
Hey, you know,
Well,
They do work.
they work. Purple bomber. I dig it, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like you said, brook trout, salmon,
Yeah.
2 of my favorite fish
Yeah.
out there, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Though they do catch bass, too. I can tell you that.
yep.
And
Yeah.
I love bass, too. I
Yeah.
love a good smallmouth. They
Oh yeah.
put up a fantastic... I mean, how many other fish are you going to see catch on the surface
Yeah.
on a regular basis and jump
Yeah.
and put a really good bend in an 8-weight rod?
Yeah.
I
There's a
mean,
huge stonefly behind you.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
On the window.
That's cool. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Look at them.
There he is.
Wow.
That makes
That's how you
sense
know you're
now.
on a
That
fishing river.
that 8 Chernobyl. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
they're
That's
huge.
exactly that. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, camera just died.
That one overheated for some reason.
Well,
Oh, boy.
we'll continue on.
It's okay. It's just my face that's missing.
That is a great answer, and that is a great show, and that is a great weekend. More than a weekend up here in upstate New York. I mean, that was super fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
It was a little,
Yeah. A nice little
nostalgia
trip
trip down memory lane.
Right. Now, how long has it been since you guys been here? Oh, boy. Should I not have asked that question?
10 years.
10 years at
Oh,
least,
boy.
Yeah.
if not more.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's about 10 years for me since I was here at the Hungry Trout.
Right.
Yeah.
I stayed here. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a decade or more.
Well, you got to do it more often. You can't be another 10 years because that's just
Totally.
too long.
I want to come ice fish here. I think.
Yeah.
That's
No, seriously.
So much
Skiing
fun.
ice
Skiing
fish?
ice
Oh,
fish?
yeah.
That'd be
a lot,
really fun.
A lot of fun.
Well, now we got pals here.
Yeah, man, Brandon,
Right.
it's been really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
hanging
yeah.
out.
Thanks for
Very cool.
Thanks
to
for
meet
showing
you.
us around.
Yeah. Anytime.
And
Stand
all
up,
the
fella.
all the advice and texting back and forth. And you know what? Shameless plug time.
Yeah.
If people want to find you, book you as a guide.
Yeah. What do they do?
What do they do?
I mean, just call us to the shop. We've got a great list of fantastic guides. It's not just me.
Yeah.
Trust me, they're all great. Give us a call.
Hungry
Trout
Trout.
Fly Shop.
Yeah.
Give us a shout. Look us up on Google.
HungryTrout.com.
HungryTrout.com. Yeah, that'll find the resort link with everything
Nice.
here. All the amenities, hotel,
Perfect.
restaurant.
Tell them
two
SoFly sent you.
restaurants.
Huh?
Yeah. Give us a shout. And same thing with the fly shop. I mean, you got all three right there. You can eat, sleep, and fish, and get your stuff to eat the fish.
It's a pretty no-brainer kind of place to stay.
Right. Yeah. And
Awesome.
I mean,
It is a resort. It's awesome.
It's awesome. It's a
Right.
fly fishing resort.
Yeah.
There's a pool.
There's a pool.
There's a pool.
Andy's
yeah.
getting in there right now, aren't you?
Yeah, he's headed over.
Yup.
Yeah.
Hey, little San Juan worm.
Beautiful area, historic. The Olympics were here
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
They'd like to get a third, I assume,
Yeah.
and I've heard. But I mean,
Oh, it's
there's a
coming.
lot of history to have here, and
Yeah.
a lot of things to explore. So it's not just for fishing.
It's the home of the Wolves. It's Fran Betters. It's Rachel Finn, and it's Brandon.
Yes, it's Brandon. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Well, everybody at home, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side, huh?
Bye.